Well, it's October. Oh yeah, time is flying. And that means that the holidays are right around the corner and they're coming faster than you could even imagine. And that's why today I want to share some thoughts with you on how you can have a more stress-free vacation, no matter where you're visiting, whether it's here at Walt Disney World, Universal, traveling somewhere else. We're going to talk about it today. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the Skyliner, which just so happens to have come to a stop. It's to be expected. It happens every single time we're on the Skyliner. Sometimes all I have to do is look at it and just comes to a screeching halt. Fortunately, we are starting to move again. Anyway, today we're going to be doing a little bit of wandering around. I want to share some thoughts with you, like I said, on how you can have a more stress-free holiday travel season. And of course, because it's October, spooky season has officially arrived, we need to keep an eye out for the Christmas merchandise that has recently dropped here at Walt Disney World. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. But you know what? It is what it is. We're gonna have a good day and see what we can get ourselves into. We'll just have to wait and see. But first stop is Caribbean Beach. We're gonna hop on a Skyliner over to Epcot. I think we're gonna start our day over there. All right, first ride down, one to go. Let's hop on the Skyliner that's gonna take us to the Riviera and ultimately Epcot. Here we go. Almost there. Hopefully this goes a little bit smoother than our last trip. We did have a few stops along the way, which, you know, is to be expected with the Skyliner. Some days it runs smoother than others. I just feel like I'm always unlucky. Every time I'm on the Skyliner, it stops for however long. Fortunately, knock on wood, I haven't had any major delays to date. So, I don't know, it's bound to happen eventually. All right. We're here. Now we're gonna go in through the International Gateway today. This is the back entrance of Epcot. Good place to enter. There's never really much of a line here, and you're right at World Showcase. So if you're snacking, eating and drinking, it's a good place to start. It's also why some of us don't concern ourselves with Mexico or Canada. We're worried about UK or France, okay? Today, we pulled off into the UK. This is where we're gonna start our conversation today. Also, you know what? I got a comment from someone, and they were like, oh, it took you however long to get to the point of your discussion today. It's because you're coming along with me. We're having a conversation. We're enjoying our day. I'm telling you about the environment. You know, maybe TikTok is more your speed if you're looking for something that's just quick and to the point in a sentence or less. It's not what we're doing here, man. So like I said, I wanna give you some thoughts on how I think you can have a less stressful holiday travel season, and we're starting with one that I've shared some thoughts with you on before, but we're going to get into it again today, and that is knowing your family. Now what I mean by this is take a second to think about the people that you're going to be traveling with, your family, friends, travel companions. What are their wants and needs? What are their personality traits? What are the things that might irritate them, the things that they can't get through the day without? You're gonna wanna make note of that so that you can accommodate for that when you're traveling. You know, if you're traveling with a little one who you know needs a nap midday, take that into consideration when you're planning your trip, when you're figuring out what your day is gonna look like. If you're traveling with a coworker, let's say, that cannot start their day without a cup of coffee, factor that in. This might seem very obvious to some of you, but especially in today's day and age, where we have people making suggestions on social media about what we should or shouldn't be able to do, what our kids especially should and shouldn't be able to manage, it's not as obvious as you might think. And that's the type of thing that can not only add a ton of stress to your vacation, but it can ruin your day, especially when you're setting expectations, again, especially for those little ones, too high. Which is why every time we have conversations like this, I usually say something along the lines of your family is your family, whether they're at home, at Disney, at a national park, no matter where you go, they're still the same people. So expect that that's gonna be the case and plan accordingly. The next thing on our list, which by the way, this is a list of 5. I don't think I mentioned that when we started this conversation, but it happens. Plan ahead, but stay flexible. Now look, no one wants to hear the words that are about to come out of my mouth, okay? So brace yourself, bear with me. But having a good plan is honestly the key to having the least amount of stress. And when we're talking about travel, generally speaking, we're talking about building an itinerary. And I know, it's a bad word. No one wants to hear the I word. But having an itinerary does not need to mean that you have so much structure that you can't enjoy your vacation. It also doesn't need to mean that you have no flexibility. In fact, the way that I like to build an itinerary gives me a ton of flexibility. So let me give you an example of what I mean when I'm saying build an itinerary. I'm gonna put one up right here. This is just a sample itinerary, and we're looking at just one day. But of course, you could apply this to every single day of your vacation, including travel days. That's always really helpful. Now, as you can see over here, we're not being terribly specific, and we're not leaving ourselves with only one option. I've got roundabout times that we want to try and head out or accomplish a thing. For example, if you take a look at our lunch plans here, I have that I want to aim for noon, and I'm not just sticking to one option. I have a few different options listed because, you know, I like a little bit of variety. I like my options outlined. In this case, you can also see that I outlined some of the things that I really wanted to try on this particular day, just as a reminder of what it is that I want to do. And then, of course, we have some things on here that are a little bit more specific. They're like times where I'm sure we want to meet up. For example, in this case, I want to meet my entire group for dinner, so I have that noted here. And since it's a dining reservation, that has to be a little bit more strict of a timeline, you know? But as you can see, this is a little bit more of a guide, a little bit more of a paper brain than it is what most people think of when they think of an itinerary. And having things outlined in this way, not only, like I said, gives me that flexibility that I'm looking for, but also makes sure that I highlight those must-dos, which is another way to make sure that you're not only reducing stress, but you're eliminating that feeling that you missed out. You know, limiting FOMO once you get home, or even worse, on the last day of your trip and you know that there's not enough time to do all the things that you want to do. Been there, done that, don't like it. This helps prevent that. This is also a great way to help keep those lines of communication open with your family, but we're gonna get back to that here in a second. By the way, this playground over here is the one I think one of you was asking about. The other day, someone asked me if the playground across from Test Track was still there because they didn't see it in the background of my video. Yes, it is still there if this is the playground that you're talking about. It's right outside of Creations and right across from Test Track. So yeah, there is still a playground here. It's a pretty nice one. Always lots of kids in there, which I love. But look, Creation Shop is right here. Let's go see if we can find this Christmas merch, or I suppose I should say holiday merch. I don't know if it's gonna be here, but I know it is popping up here and there. So let's see if we can find it, take a quick look, and we'll let you know where to find it if you happen to be visiting anytime soon. I don't see anything yet, but I do see this Epcot Spirit jersey, which is pretty cool. Let's take a look at the front. I do like that, but these Spirit jerseys are a little expensive. They're like 80 bucks. So I've kind of been pulling away from them. Also, quality's not that great, you know. I also want to keep an eye out as well for that Figment bag that we weren't able to find the other day. Russ gave me another suggestion of where to look, but I don't think it's there either. So we'll keep our eyes open. Maybe we'll pop on over to the Imagination Pavilion and see if they have it there. So Russ's suggestion was that we look here for the bag. This is kind of just in the back entrance that we came in, right here in this corner, because they used to have bags over here before, but now it's mugs and home goods, probably sold out. But look at this. First piece of Christmas merch that we've spotted. Also a Figment shirt. Another shirt over here as well with Mickey Mouse on it. Oh joy. I feel like that's something my mom would say, but like not in a positive way. She's never like, oh joy, I love iced caramel macchiatos. It's always like, oh joy, we're stuck on the Skyliner again. But all right, let's bop on over to the Imagination Pavilion this direction, see if we can find that tote bag. These like 90s inspired tote bags are super cute. I love the Mickey and Minnie one. I want to say that I had either Mickey or Minnie, I can't remember. So I really want to see the Figment one. Can't find it. I do also think it's a little bit surprising that they're not on top of this particular piece of merch. I mentioned that the other day because it is Figment and it is a festival. Disney's been weird though. They haven't really embraced the art of the impulse buy. Certainly not in recent years. Anyway, let's go check and see if this tote bag is in here. Oh boy, I see it. That's really cute. It says Walt Disney World on the back and it is $44.99. All right, so the Figment bag is really cute. Do I need it? Not today, though. I like it. Also, it had a little pouch on the inside so that you can put like your keys or your phone or whatever so it doesn't get stuck at the bottom of the bag. I'm a sucker for a good tote bag. I probably have way too many and I only buy high quality tote bags. So like they never die. So my collection just continues to grow. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the Figment tote bag. For now, we're gonna make our way back to the International Gateway because I have a few more places I wanna look for that Christmas merch, and of course, we got more stuff to talk about. All right, we're making our way back to the International Gateway for this next one. Maybe we pop into World Traveler real quick, see if they have any merch in there that we might be looking for. Unlikely, but we'll check. World Traveler, by the way, is a small gift shop located just inside this entrance. This is where you can get your strollers and ECBs on this side of the park, but they also have some merch in here too. So let's see if we can find anything. Oh, we do have the prizes for Pluto's Pumpkin Pursuit in here. Little sippers. All right, so no holiday merch in there. I'm not really surprised, but I did want to check because you never know. It's also been a while since I've popped into that particular shop, so it's good to check in. And we got to see those sippers. That's for Pluto's Pumpkin Pursuit, similar to the other scavenger hunts over at Epcot. You pay like $9, $10, and if you find all of the pumpkins, put them in the right place, you get a sipper, or at least in this case, you get a sipper. Anyway, let's talk about the next item on our list, and that is choosing the right accommodation. This is one that, again, comes up so often, but it does play a huge role in just how your vacation goes, but also how stressful your vacation can be. You know, choosing the right accommodation can always be difficult, whether, again, you're traveling to Walt Disney World or anywhere else, because, well, hotels, accommodations, it costs a lot of money. It takes a huge chunk out of your budget. And if you're like me, or so many others out there, keeping an eye on your budget is really, really important. It's like the priority when most people travel. They want to try and cut costs whenever they can, which is a good thing. I do think that can be really helpful. Honestly, can even be helpful when reducing stress. But you have to be careful when choosing your accommodation, especially if what you're trying to do is cut corners. Oh man, I can't come back here, but it's hot and I wanted some shade. I was gonna just stand here in the shade, but it sounds like they're doing some lawn work, so we'll keep moving. Find another shady spot to sit. Anyway, cutting corners in this way can sometimes lead to more problems than it solves because, you know, the more affordable the hotel, I mean, you can run into any number of problems when you try and cheap out on your hotel. I say that, again, having done it many times, but it's also not uncommon for more affordable hotels to be more out of the way, which can be the illusion of saving, something we've talked about before, where you're under the impression that you're saving money, but you're gonna have to spend more on maybe a rental car, maybe a ride share or other transportation option. Now, money aside, because of course we are talking about eliminating stress, I think it's important to strike a balance. We need to find a place that isn't only going to fit within our budget, but also is going to fit within our plans. You know, it's going to leave us somewhat nearby where it is that we want to visit, which can be a little bit easier said than done depending on our vacation destination of choice. You know, places like Walt Disney World, you can stay right in the Magic, right on property, or at any number of places off property. But if you're traveling somewhere else, you know, somewhere that's a little bit off the beaten path, it can require a little bit more research. You really want to take the time to find out how you're going to get where you're going, focus on the things that you want to do, and really think about how that works with your timeline in order to make the most of your trip, and make sure that you're not in a position where now you're here in this place and you didn't plan for that thing you wanted to do to be 45 minutes to an hour away. This can happen a lot in vacation destinations, and right here in Central Florida, especially around Walt Disney World, is no exception. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making all the time is, well, hold on one second. I have to just let you know that I had this sandwich the other day and it was a phenomenal sandwich. 10 out of 10, would get again. Honestly, if I was hungry for lunch, I'd get it right now. I'm sorry. I know I got a little bit distracted, but I had to let you know how good that sandwich was because it was so good. So getting back to what we were talking about, you know, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make when they're judging distances, especially in vacation destinations like Walt Disney World, is that they look at the miles between where it is and where they want to be. So for example, they'll be like, oh, I've got a hotel that's only 5 miles away from Walt Disney World. And yeah, that doesn't seem like it's that far. It actually seems fairly reasonable, but it's never a good way to judge distance when you're in a vacation destination, especially a place that is just overflowing with traffic, like here in Central Florida. Because 5 miles away doesn't necessarily mean like 5 minutes away. You know, it's not like it's 5 minutes down the highway. 5 miles away could easily be, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45, depending on the day. So, you know, you really have to look up the directions, pop it into your GPS or pop it into Google Maps or whatever you're using and see what that tells you. Then you'll get a better idea of what to expect. And that's, again, one of those things that is so important to keep in mind when you're choosing an accommodation. Look into that stuff ahead of time, get an idea of what to expect ahead of time so you don't find yourself here on vacation again and being like, oh my God, all we're doing is spending hundreds of dollars on Ubers back and forth because nothing is as close as it seemed to be. That's something that's happened to us in the past. By the way, we're gonna jump into the Screen Door general store. Oh, can we make it? We did it. But all right, see if we can find any holiday merch. I don't think we're gonna see any here, but check it out. We do have some sales running. So that is on the Loungefly candy corn backpack, which is right here. And then we have the Halloween backpack as well. So these both are $50 regular. I think they're $88. Let me check. Oh yeah, you can see the price tag right here. $88 regular, 50 bucks right now. October has barely even started and things are already on sale. See, there's some more deals over here. $15 regular, $22 for the light up necklace. Gotta keep your eye out, gotta keep your eye out. All right, no holiday merch over there either, which is kind of a good thing. Like, I don't need Christmas to rush, okay? I know that Russ loves Christmas, but it can take its time. Though, the whole reason that I'm thinking about this is because, you know, it's supposed to be out in shops around. You know, I don't know exactly where it is, but I had the Boo Crew check Disney Springs the other day. It wasn't there. It's not over here either. So I don't know where it is. Now, getting back to accommodations, I know we've been bouncing around a little bit today, but there's a lot that I want to take a look at. I've been cooped up in the house, like I told you guys. There are a lot of ways to make an accommodation work for you. You know, choosing the right location is always really important. But one of the things that I want to just kind of put in your mind, an option that I want to let you know is available, is changing hotels throughout your vacation. Now, I realize that there are a lot of you out there who are going to be like, hold on, we're talking about reducing stress, and that is definitely not going to reduce stress for me and my family. You know what? It might not be for you. Don't get me wrong. But especially if your vacation plans include visiting multiple places that aren't really in super close proximity to each other, whether that's mileage, you know, it's many miles away, or it's just a long trip to get there, even though it's relatively close. I'm looking at you, Universal Orlando. It can be worth your time and energy to start off in one place, have that be your home base for a few days, and then move on to the next. Again, this is not going to be right for every situation, but it is something that I just want to share with you so that you can consider it next time you're doing a trip and you're going to be bouncing around to different attractions, different locations. You're thinking to yourself, how can I make this work? How can I make this work in a way that's going to be a little bit less stressful? There you go. That's one option. Now, if you're here at Walt Disney World, depending on what your plans are, I do love this area. This is what I call the Epcot area of resorts. This is like the Boardwalk, Beach Club, Yacht Club, also the Swan and Dolphin and Swan Reserve are out this way as well. All of the Disney owned and operated hotels in this area are in the deluxe category or in the Disney Vacation Club category. So you have a lot of options, whether it's paying rack rate for a deluxe resort or going the route of renting Disney Vacation Club points. Obviously, if you're a Disney Vacation Club member, this is a great place to stay as well. The non-Disney owned and operated resorts are the Swan Dolphin and Swan Reserve. These are Marriott's. They're a little bit more affordable, but the location just can't be beat. Here in this area, all of these places I just mentioned, they're walking distance not only to Epcot, but also Hollywood Studios, which is really nice for a lot of reasons. I talk about this all the time, so I'm not going to go into it again today, but there are similar places to this everywhere. If you look hard enough and you do enough research, you can find a place that's probably within walking distance, or at very least a very short jaunt to wherever it is that you want to spend your time when you're vacationing. So our next order of business is to make our way over to Hollywood Studios, which is where we started today. That's where we parked the Jeep. We're going to take boat transportation to get there from the Swan and Dolphin. And I got to share some thoughts with you on our next one. This one is number 4, and that is take breaks. If Russ was here, he would say slow down. And yes, this is such an important one, especially if you're vacationing somewhere where it's hot, like here, where it is very toasty today. It's important to make sure that you're taking breaks, taking your time. Don't rush it. For example, today, I could easily walk back to Hollywood Studios, but it's hot. I need some shade, I need a drink. And so even though I might have to wait a bit for the boat, I'm gonna do that and take advantage of the shade so I can cool off and just chill for a bit, decompress. This is super duper important if you're traveling with little ones as well. Though there's no way around it, everyone can benefit from a break. And look, again, this is one of those things that feels like it should go without saying, but I do think that people need a reminder every now and again, especially if you're visiting a very intense vacation destination like Walt Disney World. You want to go, go, go. You want to do absolutely everything. And that means you might not take breaks when you need it, but I'll tell you what, your body is going to have you taking a break one way or another. So give it what it needs, you know, rest and relax every now and again. About 5 minutes later, boat is here, been sitting in the shade, very refreshed. Let's make our way to Hollywood Studios. Made it to Hollywood Studios, but the Boo crew is actually over this direction, so I'm gonna go meet them real quick. But to wrap this conversation up with the last tip for reducing stress when you're traveling, and that is to communicate and delegate. Oh yeah, all of this sounds super official, but it honestly is a great way to travel in general, at least in my opinion. You know, a lot of times when families travel together or when groups travel together, I often say families, but when people travel together, this thing happens where one person, they rise to the top and they do everything. And that can be a lot of stress on them. It can also be a lot of stress on everyone else in the party. So one thing that I do recommend if you are going to be traveling is that you try and figure out what everyone's role is going to be. And yes, everyone can have a role, everyone can have something that they're responsible for or something that they're in charge of, whether it's taking photographs or making sure that water bottles are always staying full. But here's the thing, you can't expect people to do something that they don't know they need to be expected to do. So one of the things that I recommend is going back to a previous tip. Remember how I mentioned something about making an itinerary? Well, when you're pulling that together, one of the things you can also do is decide who's gonna do what. Maybe they do that throughout the entire trip. Maybe it's something they do on a particular day. Let them know what it is that they need to do, what the expectation is as well. Again, setting reasonable expectations for everybody. And then what can ultimately happen is the burden of vacationing gets balanced amongst everyone. And that leads to much less stress when you're traveling. But all right, that brings our list of 5 things I think you can do in order to have a more stress-free travel situation this holiday season to a close. I'd love to know what your thoughts are though. Have you ever done some of these things? Are any of these things something that you've never considered and now you're gonna plan it into your next vacation? Tell me all about it in a comment down below. Also, let me know if you are going to be traveling this holiday season, where you're gonna be going and what you're gonna be doing, because I wanna hear it. I wanna hear your travel plans. But for now, like I said, the Boo crew's over here. I'm gonna go meet up with them. Maybe we'll go grab some lunch. Who knows? But that means I leave you here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys next time. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I'm sure it'll be fun. Until then, bye guys.